Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio? Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 29th of March, which is a Tuesday, and we are all sitting here waiting for Mrs. Yellen to start her spiel, which should come in about, it's scheduled for 12:20. So I would be real careful about being in trades until that her whatever she's going to do is out. Um, the expectation is that because the economic numbers, I mean, if you believe them, are looking pretty good, that she may uh, announce they're going to raise the interest rates here pretty soon. So just if you're in a trade and you're trying to let it run, I would tighten up my stops pretty darn soon, or try to be out in the next few minutes. And I would not be taking any new trades right now either. So, having said that, we'll take a look at what's happening. The U.S. indices have they're all trading pretty much together, but today YM has really led the parade, and NQ is not that far behind it in the amount of movement. The one that's been a little difficult is YM today. It's been in a very tight range. Here I'm competing with there. It's been in a very tight range, and if you look at the, I don't have an extra one of those where I'd show you, but if you look at 30-minute candles on YM, you will see 3 dojis in a row. That's an hour and a half of absolutely going nowhere with no decision. That's, you don't see that very often, and that's pretty significant heads up of yeah, I would sure be staying out of YM right now. Anyway, that is well worth noting. I know I've mentioned this before, but one of the values that I find with these 30-minute candles is when you see 4 or 5 of them in a row, all the same color. It's been going on and on and on. It's a time for some of those contracts, to whatever direction that's been going, to start unwinding. So for instance, right here on crude oil, we had 3 of these. This was real early this morning, and then it started dropping. And so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 6, 7, and we got a green one. Doesn't mean it's going to reverse, but it does mean that you need to be real cautious about expecting this to put in new lows right here. So this has all been just, I mean, this crude oil bus driver, we need a new bus driver, that's for sure. This guy is nuts. If you look at the range channel boxes, the expected range, I love these things. But when you're sitting here wondering, my golly, what's going to take to get this thing off the dime, look at this this little box right here. It's the last hour's box. This painted on a 12 ticket painted the grand total of two bars in an hour. That's insane. That is literally untradeable as far as I'm concerned. I guess you could scalp it. But the scalping would have to be done off of the 6 tick, no question. You cannot trade this chart with nothing happening. Volume has been a little higher. Yesterday, if you notice, the volume in all the indices was just about non-existent, and today it's a little better. So anyway, crude oil has definitely sold off. We'll see how long that lasts. Uh, bonds have been a little difficult to trade. I didn't see a really good entry or signal on those today. The U.S. dollar has gone down. It's kind of waiting to see. Everything's waiting to see what Mrs. Yellen's going to say. We have the VIX right now at 1523. It got down a couple days ago as low as 1379.80, which is pretty darn low. So the biggie is going to be here in a few minutes when she starts saying whatever she's going to say. For those of you who trade gold, you're going to need to roll your contract this afternoon after you get finished trading. So you're on the June contract for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is the last day that the April contract is going to trade, and gold is it's an oddball contract like some of these. Crude oil trade, it rolls every single month. We get it the next month and the next month. Couple times a year, gold is the next month, and most of the time it skips 1 month and goes to the next month. So this is just one of the anomalies that is in these futures contracts. You really have to pay attention to what contract you're trading. The indices, bonds, the dollar, the currencies are pretty easy because they only roll 4 times a year. They roll quarterly. But the commodities are a whole different animal. And if any of you are trading the grains on the NASDAQ, NADEX, if any of you trade those contracts, pay particularly close attention to what the underlying contract month is, because you can sure have that bite you, and it's unnecessary. It's just because you weren't aware that the underlying contract month is very important, and commodities are all very, very weird. The grains don't do it together. Beans is different than corn, is different than wheat. And the energies are all different too. So if you trade nat gas, pay attention to that one too. So anyway, I think that's about it. Tomorrow we're going to have at 8:15 is it's the ADP non-farm employment change, and then at 10:30 will be crude oil inventories, and that's just about it for the U.S. session tomorrow in terms of news numbers, any of the economic numbers coming out. So we want to be careful. Usually U.S. economic numbers come out at 8:30, but keep in mind tomorrow is different. It's 8:15. And I think that's about it. I wanted to make one other thing. I know I've mentioned this before, but when we've got some new people in here, if you watch my camera charts, you notice that I do not have volume on these two big charts. The ones I trade with do have volume. Everything has volume on it, but I'm kind of limited to the space. So I took all the lower studies off that were redundant, and the volume is right here on this, because on this 10-minute, because it was pretty easy to make room for it. That's the most important thing. The templates are all correct if you use the templates. So let's see, and this is the end of the month, and I think I've mentioned this before. There are likely to be lots and lots of money that is being moved, and it's going to respond to Mrs. Yellen speaking in a few minutes, and the last couple three trading days of the month. There's today, tomorrow, and Thursday, and March is over with. And March is a uh, it's a big numbers month because these big fund managers publish their quarterly positions, and they want to look as good as possible when they close those books out for the quarter. So March and June and September and December are all pretty important, those last couple 3 days of the month. So I will leave it right there. This has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll see you tomorrow about noon. Thanks.